Hey guys, Andrew Shrout here in the sideboard. I'm sitting down with Jonathan Job. How's it going, man?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Cool. Jonathan Job is a Legacy Open champion. You're a Star City Invitational top 4 competitor.
Yes.
Okay, and you showed up today with a food chain combo deck. This is not something that we've is completely unheard of, but it has not been heard of in a while.
Right.
So talk to me a little about what this deck does.
Basically, you get the benefits of having food chain and Mist Hollow Griffin, which creates an infinite mana loop.
Okay.
Where you can, obviously remove it, give +1. Guy gets the benefits of being played from exile, and so every time you remove them, you just get to create infinite mana, and then just do all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Lots of fun things.
All right. So food chain lets you exile him to make mana that can be spent on creatures.
Sure.
And then once he's exiled, you can replay him and you net the mana.
Yeah. He also has the fun bonus of being a blue card to pitch the Force of Will.
Okay.
So that you can exile it that way,
Sure.
and he's just like a free spell that comes back. Gotten to do that one a couple times. It's kind of cute, fun.
Okay. Sweet. Food chain, you can only use mana with food chain to cast creatures.
Correct.
And so you have filled out your deck with a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
Some of which kind of gain value in their own way, some of which are incredibly powerful.
Right.
So I'm just kind of going to go over the creature suite here. You've got 4 Noble Hierarchs, and the 1 Deathrite Shamans is like a 5th Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, pretty much. Splashed an Underground Sea in the deck just to have the black activation in case you played a grinding matchup. And just basically wanted 5 mana exiles, really.
Sure, okay. And then moving up from there, you have 4 Shardless Agent, which is a new addition.
Yeah, it cascades into, I'm sure we'll get to the most fun card in the deck
Sure.
in a second. And it also really helps with when you, after sideboard, you can kind of change your cascade package into the decks that you want to cascade into the more efficient cards in the sideboard that you need to hit in the early game.
Okay, sure. So yeah, you bring in hate cards.
Yeah. Like in the sideboard with Null Rod and Phyrexian Revoker and stuff like that, where some of these artifact decks, places like Painterstone, where they can kill you really, really quickly. Or if you change up your your cascade package, where you're like, oh man, all right, so the Wall Blossoms are out, take out a lot of the early drops. My odds of hitting like the Null Rod when I cast it on 3 is really, really good.
Sure, yeah, actually, I just this last round watched you cascade into Null Rod against the Painter Servant deck.
It was really nice.
Yeah, that Null Rod did work there. You have then 2 Venser, 2 Vendilion Click, and you have 1 Karakas actually in your main deck as well.
The Vendilion Click, just, because we are playing a combo deck, it's always just in there to look at the hand, make sure the path is clear, everything looks good. Obviously expecting more Sneak and Show. Sneak and Show is obviously a really strong deck, so having main deck Venser, I think, is one of the best answers to Sneak and Show. Especially like if they resolve it. A lot of times when you put a card face down, some of the better players will realize that maybe this is something that can deal with my Emrakul or my Grizzlebrand, and they'll actually put Sneak Attack in. And you're like, and if you actually put Venser down, you actually get to bounce a Sneak Attack, and so it creates much better plays for you.
Sure, yeah, Venser, like one of the best insurance cards against Show and Tell for sure. Rounding out the creature suite, you have 2 Tidespout Tyrants. That's a nice one.
Yeah, the
kind
old
of win condition, I guess.
Yeah, the Captain Capsize, gotta love him. When you go infinite with the food chain, you should keep casting the Mist Hollow Griffins, and you can just literally bounce your opponent's whole board.
Sure. So yeah, you have 3 kind of top end cards to like for sure win the game. The 2 Tidespout Tyrants, as you mentioned, lets you bounce your opponent's board, and then you have 1 Emrakul.
Right.
For when you absolutely cannot let your opponent take another turn, no matter what.
Sometimes you just get there. I mean, I earlier in the tournament, I had the fun scenario where I actually hard cast Emrakul on 4. Like just straight 15 mana Emrakul go.
Sure.
Like obviously go again for me, but
and not even that hard to do. Just cast food chain, cast Mist Hollow Griffin, go nuts, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Sure. All right. The rest of your main deck is kind of some standard. The blue spells we're used to in Legacy. You have a 4 Force of Will, 1 Misdirection as a 4, kind of a 5th Force of Will.
Right. Yeah.
You have the 4 Brainstorms, 1 Sylvan Library, and this is a weird one that you don't actually you basically do not see anywhere outside of this deck. You have 3 Manipulate Fate in your deck. Now this, I'm going to read this card because I'm sure most viewers are not going to know. Manipulate Fate. Search your library for 3 cards, remove them from the game, then shuffle your library, then draw a card.
Right. I actually had a heck of a time finding those.
I can imagine.
I was scouring the stores in Vegas. But I mean, obviously you get to remove 3 Mist Hollow Griffins, real simple, and then draw a card. And the way it actually works really well with the combo is if you have food chain in play and you cascade through a Shardless Agent and you hit the Manipulate Fate, you can then go get the Mist Hollow Griffins, and then you can sack the Shardless Agent to the food chain and then go into your combo with the Mist Hollow Griffins.
Okay.
So like that's the way it really sets up a lot of times. Where if you draw on your mana acceleration early, you after that point you can only cascade really into brainstorms and manipulate fates, and either way it's kind of good.
Yeah, for sure. So even if you don't get a chance to get one of your giant monsters into play with the food chain, you can still just manipulate fate, go find your Titan. Your mist hologriffins,
right?
And then they kind of function as like a turbo squadron hawk, I guess?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, honestly, Legacy has a problem in dealing with real 3/3 flyers.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I understand Delvers are 3/2s and everything like that, but when you have food chain in play, everything basically has vigilance because after you attack with it, even if they block, you can sack, remove it. I definitely used it to stop the life gain off of Matter Skull, stop the counters off of GTA, and just drive my opponents in general nuts.
Nice. All right. What made you choose to play this deck? Like, what are you hoping to play against?
Hoping to play against, honestly, it's really Delver decks are actually fairly good for the matchup. The bug, it was really against Bug Delver.
Sure.
Like that's the main deck misdirection because a lot of people are playing hymns, and especially with the sideboard that I have where I bring in like offset Balos and stuff like that, they really just can't deal with a plethora of forecasting cost creatures.
Sure.
Like they just don't have really good answers to it. And playing against Delver is really good, and playing against the other control decks, a lot of the times they don't know. And I love to play decks that are just a little bit on the fringe, where I feel like I have an advantage if my opponent really doesn't know exactly what's going on, till all of a sudden you're upon them. And you're like, I can't believe that happened.
All right, I can definitely see the edge there. I'm not sure I would know how to maneuver my way around all of this. What are you hoping to avoid?
I played against Death and Taxes recently, and the matchup seems a little bit more difficult than I originally thought it would be, with their ability to port down your lands and control stuff. And the guy I played against actually played really well. He turned 2 Revoker in my Hierarchs both times. So, with that plus port and everything was really slowing down. Then the Thalia so I just can't, cascade and to manipulate fates and to do everything that I really want to do. So, Death and Taxes seems interesting. Countertop really isn't that bad. Other than that, I feel
mana costs are pretty high. So
other than that, I feel pretty solid.
Okay, cool. You talked about some of the cards on your board. You mentioned Null Rod. You mentioned Obstinate Baloth. I'm just going to go through the sideboard, and then we'll just kind of discuss each card, just say where you bring it in. You have 2 Phyrexian Revokers of your own.
They're really good against Death and Taxes, like I said, just because you get the
Aether Vial.
Aether Vial, thank you. I couldn't think of the name for a second. You have the Aether Vials, and you can actually stop ports and wastelands and everything like that. And they're also just kind of a catch-all in certain situations. Like I brought them in against Elves earlier to stop the Wirewood symbiote shenanigans and stuff. So
you have two Grafdigger's Cage. Speaking of cards to bring in against Elves.
Yeah, and you gotta have something against Dredge. Sure. I really, it seemed like the most versatile of the ball.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
The 2 Null Rods, which I saw you use to great effect.
I've seen Paterstone start to have some success as of late, and so I thought it would be a good thing, and it's also really good against Death and Taxes as well.
Sure.
Pretty much any Stoneforge based deck.
All right. Now, a big 4 of here. 4 Obstinate Baloth.
Guy's just a beast. Literally a beast.
Actual
creature beast.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Bug Delver decks, they just honestly cannot deal with the card.
Right.
Like, at the point where they have to take, if they see an Obstinate Baloth, and then they have to side out Hymns for game 3, and they have to side out Liliana because they can't just make you randomly pitch.
Sure.
So at that point, you have Obstinate Baloth plus a good combo deck, and they're not going at your hand anymore, which is their plan against the combo decks. And so it's just this weird, they're just left in this really weird, awful situation that they don't really like to be in.
Sure. Yeah, that's if they see it.
Right.
But of course, this is
and
not
if
a known...
they don't, and like I did it earlier where I was playing against Bug, and I purposely left myself with 2 cards in hand. They were both Obstinate Baloth, and he revealed a Hymn off of Delver earlier, and he's like, "How many cards in your hand?" I'm like, 2. He's like, "Get them both." I'm like, "Sure." Just slammed it into play. He's like, "Oh Lord."
Nice. Get them both. Put them where? Oh yeah, sure. All right. We have another 4 of 4 Submerge.
Always been a huge fan of the card. I had 4 of it in the last Legacy Open that I won. I just think the card's really good. Seen actually a fair amount of Maverick in the room, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I mean, the card's been really performing well today.
Sure. And the last card, an additional misdirection.
Yeah, just we want to bring it in against the, other combo matches and stuff like that. Misdirection is always good. Bring it in against Bug too. Got to kill a True Nemesis earlier by misdirecting an Abrupt Decay. He went for my food chain, and I was like, nope. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the guy needs to work on his aim. Huh?
Yeah, right?
All right, so we just finished what, round 6? Is that right?
So 4-1-1.
4-1-1.
Yep.
Okay, so you're back against the wall. You can't afford another loss.
Be all right.
But we're kind of getting towards towards where we're in sniffing distance of top 8.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. Well, I'll be rooting for you. Thanks for sitting down with me, man.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Stick around. We've got more coverage of the Legacy Open here in Los Angeles.